Have you really ever asked yourself why 90% of traders fail? I know it's a very brutal statistic, but it is a fact. Now, in this video, I'm going to break down 5 reasons why most beginner traders fail and how you can avoid becoming part of this statistic. And hey, stick around to the end because I'm going to be giving you a simple 3-step framework you can start using today to build a consistent, realistic path to profitability, even if you're trading part-time. Let's start with the biggest trap, which is setting unrealistic expectations. Now, when it comes to most beginner traders, they see or watch people on social media, like maybe on YouTube or maybe Instagram or TikTok. You watch people lie to you that they flipped $100 account to maybe $100,000. And let's be real, it is not possible because the chances of you actually making that much money in, let's say, that set time they are telling you, the chances are very minimal. So it is not possible for you to do this, especially if you're just beginning. Now, you need to understand that trading is not a lottery where you're just going to go and maybe scratch something and win. It doesn't work this way. Trading is a real business that you need to actually first study very well for you to start making money from it. So many people think that when it comes to trading, it's going to be a get-rich-quick kind of scheme, and trust me, it's never this way. And that's the reason most people end up quitting, because they think they're going to make money very fast from trading, and then once the money doesn't come the way they thought, they quit. And guess what? They end up becoming part of this statistic that 90% of traders lose their money or 90% of traders fail. So you do not want to become part of this statistic. When it comes to trading, consistency always beats intensity. You're not going to over risk on your account and think you are not going to blow that account. You should gradually grow your account, because all the big traders you know about or that you know of, they actually worked their way up there. They didn't just wake up one day and they were rich. They grew gradually to the amount of money they actually have today. The second reason is having no real strategy. I've seen this a lot with so many traders. Some traders think backtesting and educating themselves is so boring. So what they end up doing is, picking out any strategy that they've seen maybe on social media and go try it out in the live markets. And guess what always ends up happening? That particular strategy fails, and they go move on to the next strategy. It also fails. So they keep in this loop of always finding a new strategy. Now, for you as a trader, what I would best recommend you do, go out there, find a strategy, test it out very well with at least 100 to 300 trades to make sure that, yes, this strategy actually has good historical data behind it and I can trust it in the live markets. So you must be able to put in the work through backtesting and trusting your strategy to know that, yes, once I deploy it into the live markets, it's going to be able to make me some money. Trust me, if you're in the markets and you don't have an edge in the markets, you're more like a gambler, because you are leaving things to chance, and which is not something you should be doing in the live markets. As a trader, you must have an edge that is going to always consistently make you money in these markets. Third reason is emotions. Now, when it comes to things like fear, greed, these are real account killers. Many traders actually blow their accounts simply because of their trading psychology. You find a trader maybe loses a particular trade, then they want to jump back in, to try and make back what they've just lost from the market. And guess what ends up happening? They lose that trade as well, and then maybe they even over risk to try and make back all that they've so far lost. Then they go on a losing streak and they end up blowing up their accounts. So this is not how you need to be as a trader. Professional traders have set rules that they play by. They have a playbook that A, B, C, D must happen for me to enter this trade. Let's say if it comes to risk management, on this particular trade, I risk this way. On this other type of trade, I risk this way. So you as a trader must have some set rules that you always follow and abide by as you're entering the market. So the thing I advise you actually do is go out there, educate yourself on trading psychology. There are quite a number of books out there in the market. My personal favorite is obviously Trading in the Zone, but there are many others like maybe The Best Loser Wins. There's Market Wizards for you to actually get to know what other traders have gone through so that maybe you can learn from their mistakes and you do things differently. Now, the fourth, which is a number one killer, is poor risk management. I'm telling you, some of the traders have some of the best strategies out there, but what kills them is how they manage their risk on their strategies. You find a trader has a 60% win rate, and with that 60% win rate, they are not making any money from the markets. They're actually just losing money. So the number one reason is that they are poorly managing their risk. You find a trader, he or she doesn't know exactly how to calculate the correct lot size that they should be using on that particular trade, or maybe they set their stops too tight that particular stop loss doesn't give their trade good breathing space for the trade to maybe come in drawdown and then finally go to their take profit. The moment the trade comes into drawdown, it hits their stop loss and then moves straight to their TP. So you shouldn't be like this as a trader. You should have good risk management, because if you're not managing your risk very well, trust me, you cannot make money from the markets. So what I urge you to start doing is for you to risk at least 1% or less of your account every time you actually enter a trade. Do not go beyond this, because your number one goal as a trader is to actually protect your capital. If you're not protecting your capital, then you have no business being in the markets. You must understand that losing is part of trading. So you must find a way of actually managing your risk so that you don't end up blowing up your account. So you must consider risk management as one of your top priorities, especially if you want to become a profitable trader. And finally, the quiet killer is the lack of discipline and patience. Most traders fail not because they can't win, but simply because they can't wait. They end up overtrading, they skip their setups, they jump the gun and enter too early. So if you find yourself in all this kind of mess, then just know you lack discipline in your trading. Real growth in trading comes from doing less but doing it so well. I'm telling you, when it comes to trading, less is always more. The less you do stuff in the market, the more money you're actually going to make as a trader. So be mindful of this every time you actually enter the markets. You must understand that the markets are always going to be there. So you must find a way you're actually going to be taking money from the markets. The more you're out there in the market, the more exposure you give your account to the markets. If it means only taking A setups, then go for that. Do not deviate from your initial plan. If it means only taking A setups, please don't go for B setups or C setups. Only take the A setups where you know that yes, there's a high probability of this trade turning out a winner. All right, you've made it to this point. So here is the easy 3-step framework that you are going to be using to keep yourself in the 10% of the traders that consistently make money from the markets. Number one, you need to define your edge. Pick out one setup and then go test it. Go back test it very well, and then once you've back tested it very well, if possible, trade it on demo for at least a month, not more than a month. Then once you've finished trading it on demo and you're sure and you know it very well exactly how you must be executing in terms of how you enter, how you manage your risk and psychology around your strategy, then you can go ahead and trade it in the live markets. Probably you can start with a small account and then start growing that account. So this is what I recommend you actually do. And then number two, you must be able to protect your capital. When it comes to risking in the market, only risk 1% or less. Do not go beyond the 1%. I'm telling you guys, this is a magic pill for you becoming profitable. And then of course, as part of protecting your capital, you should also use a stop loss and never add on to your losing position. If price is coming for your stop, don't adjust your stop loss to say, oh, I think as it gets here, it might reverse back and go my way. If it has come for your stop loss, please let it hit the stop loss. You'll be able to trade the next day. And then the third thing when it comes to this framework is mastering your mind. You should start using things like trading journals, because this will enable you put down your emotions, especially when you're in a trade. How do you feel when price is, let's say, approaching your stop loss? You need to write this down, because it's through these different emotions that you're going to be able to learn about yourself. And then of course, every time you lose a trade, it's very advisable for you to take a break. Try and take a break, walk away from your PC, because this will give you a fresh mind towards the market, so that you don't get into those problems like maybe, revenge trading. This will be pushed away. Remember that as a trader, you're on a marathon, not a sprint. So you need to always understand this. You are playing a long game, not the short game, guys. Now, I trust and believe that if you put in action all these 5 that I've shared, you will definitely be able to cement yourself in the 10% of traders that consistently make money from the markets. Now, if you're one of those traders that is still unprofitable, I created this video where I show you the 3 trading view settings that you must turn on for you to improve your trading experience.